George here and Matt.
Hello.
We're gonna tell you a story here. Matt, tell me one of your most memorable stories here.
I actually had one that was pretty recent. I had a gentleman who called in, and he was going through a tough time. He was going through a divorce, so he had to sell his house. But there was another house that he wanted to buy that was like close to the school for his kids. So he really wanted that house, but he needed to sell this house first. So when he called in, his main thing was like, can we close in like 2 weeks?
In Kukui? Yeah.
So I asked him like, why is 2 weeks so important to you?
Uh-huh.
And he's like, that's when the other person that was the house that he wanted to buy,
They need it.
they needed to close in 2 weeks. So I was like, the company, they can close fast. That's not an issue. And we went through the whole process. He was going through a divorce, so he
Uh-huh.
was going through like an emotional time, but he really, really wanted his house.
Did we have like any setbacks? Maybe
No,
with the wife getting involved, trying to get involved.
no, so the only thing is his wife. We couldn't get a hold of her. She was out of state and she was working, so she had to sign because she was also the seller. So that was the only issue we had. But we eventually got a hold of her. She signed the paperwork. We actually closed in 10 days. So we closed in 10 days, and we were able to help him, with the other house, and we helped him out through that entire process too. So he was very grateful. He called me after the closing of the second house, and
Oh my! I cannot believe it.
he was
I don't know, imagine.
he was so happy. He was so grateful, so happy. He was like, he wasn't sure how it was going to work out, but he was very happy. So
Okay, you see, those are the stories. I'm like, it is all worth it. It's sometimes, that's a nice happy ending story, but sometimes we have like situation in which it's like it's like a headache. But ultimately, these type of stories like build you up to like keep going and feel like you're contributing to something in society. Because I'm telling you, I probably if it was like a traditional sale, they probably might not have all these perks of like fast closing, like
right,
strategizing, logistic on how to move, transition to the other place.
100%,
So
one hundred
yeah.
percent. Yeah, I mean, when the guy called, it was like made me feel good. It was like the highlight of my day. It's like I really helped this man and his family, with a tough situation. So it felt good. I felt happy, and so that's why we do what we do. What about you? So you tell me a story that you had.
Sorry, bro.
I mean, you've been in business for a long time, so you probably have a lot.
I think that the most memorable, this is like the first one that always popped because it was like, so this guy called and Cuban guy, very, I'm saying Cuban because he's like, yeah, he was very emotional. He calls, I just want a number. And then he kind of like describes the property and then based on the location and like, I kind of like knew like, okay, I think we're a little bit off because he was asking like a lot, and I think, and he was asking way more of what it was worth based on the condition of the property because the property needed like a lot of work.
Mhm.
He wanted a particular number because in his mind, like, well, this is what Zillow say, this is what like Redfin says, like this is what it is. And I'm like, cool, okay, like if you want, just like try to see if you can get a better offer. And then I realized like he had like a lot of equity. He almost paid off the house. So his payoff was probably like $20,000 or
Mhm.
so. And I told him, look, but why don't you refinance the property and see if you can go from there? And maybe you're better off because you're telling me you still want to stay in the house. And go, yeah, yeah. But he was facing foreclosure. So I let it be. He said like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And months went by. And then one random day, he called me and said, "Hey, George, remember me?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I think so. Look, where's your office located?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm here. Like, come to this address, whatever. I need to see you right now. I need to see you." Okay, okay, okay. He came with a bunch of paperwork with his wife. And I'm like, "Okay, so what's going on?" Like, look, the auction is gonna be in 1 month.
Oh no.
You need to close in 1 month. What was the price you wanted to close the property? I'm like, oh, so you're cool? Like, what happened with the refinance? Yeah, well, we're gonna refinance, but we don't have the means, and then I have to come up with money at closing plus the interest rate. They were gonna kill me. I was gonna end up in the same boat anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, yeah, we can close in 30 days, so let's do it. We arranged the price, which he agreed on the original price. Cool, we're doing the whole thing. Then when I went to the house, it was worse
Then
than what I thought. And I'm like, yo, okay, well, let's just move forward. And then sadly, a few days before closing, we got like all the lien surge, and it took a while for the city because that was like post-COVID time. And they came up with like the guy had like almost $72,000 worth on like violations
Oof.
and city liens and all
He
that
didn't
stuff.
tell you about it?
No, that he didn't know.
Oh, he didn't
But
know.
apparently the city, so they found out, and I'm like, man, I don't know what I can tell you, but I mean, we have to work something out. So thankfully, he was open to work on that situation, and I believe like not every company, once they find out about these like massive violations and code comply
Compliance.
compliance, my bad, they will take over. Because the problem is like afterwards, what happened afterwards, because yeah, uh, you can assume or arrange some sort of like a payment, but the problem is like what is it that you're gonna expect with the city. So luckily we were able to negotiate something, and we were able to close on time. He was extremely grateful, and he was just like that, like super grateful,
Super happy.
Yeah.
Super. Yeah.
So that was it was very fulfilling because it took us a while. I remember I was helping him most of the time. I had to go to his house most of the time because he was very close from this office. So yeah,
Wow.
remember that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.